do do do. And the vision that was softly in my mind still rewinds. Oh, do 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 do. La 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 la. Let's try this again. We're alive. We're awake. And now we're going to pretend that everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Hey, Albert. Appreciate you swinging by, dude. Yeah, just waking up, getting coffee, getting ready to take on the world. Catch you on the flip side, bro. Let us see. Trying to get into this habit as much as I can. Like, look, what are you doing? You're drawing. Do, 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 do. I moved to the mic to the other side so we'd hear less of my smacky as I continued to bump things or put things down. Do, 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 do. nicely. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. It's the Rick dance. Do 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 do. Apparently, we had some technical difficulties. That's mildly annoying. What the heck's going on? What the heck's going on with my software? I don't know why this is giving me issues suddenly. It was like, oh, disabled. I was like, I did not turn you off at all. Apparently, we're having some technical difficulties, and I'm not a fan of that at all. Okay, this is annoying. Deep breaths. Nice and calm. There's nothing on. I'm literally the only person in the house with any kind of anything that has reception on. It's kind of frustrating. Baselines, baselines of... It's the Rick dance. Hey Blair, I'm doing okay. How about you, dude? Yeah, this is stream number what, 4 or 5 at this point? I just started them up this week. Had some technical difficulties, I guess, earlier today, but working slowly but surely. Got a couple of things, like right now the webcam's on a tripod, but tomorrow it's getting an arm like this, so make things a little more challenging, but a little bit more adjustable at the same time. So many arms, so little time. No, I'm just drawing at this point. Technically, these are. I guess you could technically say this one's a commission, but no. Yesterday, like we worked on Swamp Thing and Man Thing for stream, so those were kind of just for me. But this one is part of a Comics Elite batch, just because it's the Amazing Spider-Man 850. Personally, I wouldn't go near this book with a 10-foot pole otherwise, just because of how many issues they had when that book launched. And they put out the glossy cover. It was like, nope. So, this is just a nice little morning warm-up. But, let's see. Commission-wise, I'm pretty much, I got maybe 3 or 4 at the moment. And then it's on back to stuff that gets repeatedly produced, you know, in other formats for next year. Or at least that's the goal. It's the Rick dance. Filling in the black. So much black. I will eventually go into a mode where I'll play heavily with like blues and other shades when I'm doing a Venom piece. You know, like everybody else be like, hey, this way I don't gotta put as much black into it. But for now, I'll be okay doing it this way. Well, I'm happy to hear it. Sorry for any glitches that may be occurring. Apparently we're having some malfunctions, and that's mildly annoying. I wish I had something entertaining to talk about, but, you know, it's one of those, like, what have you been doing? Well, I've been on the road, and then I wasn't on the road. And it's like I finally played catch-up on some of my shows. And I think that's about it. I had Pop-Tarts for breakfast. And we're going to take a quick second for some water. All right, on. Trying to get back into the habit of doing all these fun little videos and like, look guys, here I am doing vids, drawing, do 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 do. It's the Rick dance. All right, I need more blue. It's important to be hydrated. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do do. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure how evident it is on there, but I see it quite a bit. The black seems to be coming in a weird color, and sometimes that's us, the artist, and sometimes that's the paper. And in this case, I know for a fact it's the paper. So it's one of those, I'm going to have to put another layer of black on top of the black because of the way the material is drying. Mm-hmm. Oh. Do. The ASM 850s or the shiny ones? Hey, Justin. The sweet glossy ones. That's a definition. That's a word we would not use as artists. Like, don't you want to use this one? No! You can't make us. There are certain covers that I just don't like going anywhere near anymore at this point. And I think it's just because it's like, look, I think we can all kind of agree that Marvel and DC are like, okay, it's time to say goodbye, because they don't want to do them anymore. So I'm ready to rock out what I got here and see what their next challenge is, you know? I'm like, now it's time for back covers on every single issue of everything. Like, no, bad. This is my 1 mil. It is my 2 mil. I need my 1. Where's my 1? There it is. Alright, we got you. We need some brown for the teeth. Oh, really? The first brown I get is dead. Wonderful. Alright, try this again, shall we? Too dark. Way too dark. I guess we're going with a different shade then. Alright. Do. There's a lot of laps here Because I'm looking at the video and it's showing me only black and white now. That's mildly annoying. Finally jumped back ahead. I don't know, bro. The black blanks, well, I don't know how to put it nicely. The black blanks are a pain in the butt. So it's one of those, like, it's not, it's just, it's a challenge like any of the color ones as well. So, like, case in point, I don't know. Feels like I'm about to get all ranty, but here's a really good example. So, there's Power Rangers, right? Well, I can't use a regular pencil on this. I gotta go get white lead. So then I gotta find a white lead. You know, so then I gotta go and buy white leads. And white leads sometimes are affordable, sometimes they aren't. And then I gotta have that. And because white pencils don't always, you know, adhere right, or they don't erase right. So I gotta find the right materials. And then I gotta get, you know, I go in and I fill it with black, but because it's on blue or black, it doesn't absorb right. You know, and, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's a learned skill, but it really just comes down to is like you suddenly need more stuff. You know, you need more tools. You need, you know, more paint. I mean, I bought an entire line of paint pens from the UK because I was suddenly having to work in a lot more colored materials, and the Poscos just weren't cutting it, the American brand. So, you know, I'm sure people will still work on them, but it's just one of those if we have a choice. Because, I mean, you can always just fill in the character in the background. You can always just fill in the backs. But, I know, to each their own, I suppose. It's like I've got a few of them, but I don't try to keep a lot of them just in general. Because then the next problem you have is if you try to scan them into a computer, you got to spend half an hour sitting there and editing them just to make them look good these days. Because almost every single one of them, the materials won't reflect right. So, first world problems, but still, it's like, well, this is extra steps. We're already given a piece of paper that we can't mess up. You know, here, draw this and don't mess up on it. Sorry, my coffee is not agreeing with me this morning. And again, not you or the people who that do it. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, these things are a pain in the ass. You know, because every once in a while you end up with that glossy material again. So then you're on the same boat where it's like, well, here we are trying to make things work. Like this right here, I'm not sure if it's visible right now where I'm working right now. The paper material that they used for the replacement ASMs, it absorbs the ink, which is great, but then when you're using a solid black material, it doesn't come in. So here we are again using paint. It doesn't help when the distributors suddenly switch the material between books too. That's, I think, really is one of the things that we never got to really talk about while they were still doing these things. Is that it was like, here we are, and they do the Power Rangers run, and they literally use like 5 shades of yellow. You know, and be like, wait, what's going on? And be like, the Mighty Morphers are 2 different shades than the regular Power Rangers ones, and then they had offset printing issues for those as well. And then they had the same problem with the Magic the Gathering books. And that's typically what'll happen with Boom or anybody else too. Yeah, and I think that's good, man, honestly, because it'll make sure that your piece gets done faster. I mean, it's like, you know, if I'm feeling it, I'll rock it out. Like, you know, the Xenomorphs, those are fun to do because it's a character that's pretty much just black and white. But when they're like those you saw those the Cable and Deadpool and stuff like that. I actually had to sit there and do my whole process in reverse. So I had to do paints first, then go back over the lines after the paints had dried. So something that normally would take me like an hour, hour and a half, even with 2 characters, maybe 2 hours, suddenly took me 3 or 4 hours. So sometimes I think it just comes down to time too. So but just little things. So again, not knocking them. It's up there with glossy covers where it's like, yep, here we go. Thankfully, I've got enough tools here at the house, but if I was like at a show or something and somebody handed me like a glossy black, I'd be like, what am I supposed to do with this? I have discovered that you can apparently put a paint base down on a regular comic book cover, and then you can draw on that, but you got to really know which acrylic paint you're using. And then that makes remarks a lot easier. I've seen a lot of other artists do it too. You just put a blotch of white down. But it's learning new tips and tricks. If anything, it's all kind of a craft in itself, learning it. And I always learn new things every day. Some days these things move really well, and some days not so much. Dun, 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 dun. Layers. Ogres are like onions. I feel like Fox or DreamWorks, I guess it's not Fox. I feel like DreamWorks is about to announce like some sort of special collection of Shrek or something, because I've seen way too much Shrek referenced in the last several months. Bump. A guy that McDonald's uses is a paint guy, so I have a black cat on an 850 through him. The paint base is put down first. Yep, and that's the thing is like you got to do it, and if he's doing it for like McDonald's, then he's doing all the window painting and stuff, so he's using the exact same principle where it's basically one shot, one kill. You do your layout, and then you go from there. You're like, you got my layout, okay, now it's time to put paint. And at least on that, you can kind of, with his, I'm a little envious because you can be like, hey, I'm going to create a base layer on the underside or something. Yeah. And that's the other thing too is like there's certain materials like Molotovs are about, I don't know, these ones are about $4 and change each, right? And what's great about them is much like copics, you can replace the tips, or they have different styles of tips and things like that, and you can refill them. But then you got to buy the refills too, and then you got to buy that. Whereas like these ones, they're one shot, one kill, same deal. Not to repeat myself, but it's like, hey, you know, once this sucker is dead, it is dead, you know. And then there's no going back on it. But could be worse problems to have, right? A wee bit of green. Oh, Stephen McDonald's. You mean like Clan McDonald? I don't quite remember everybody's name all the time. Gotcha. Yeah, and that might be the thing. So like Esteban, for example, he just does paint, you know. So he's his only paint, and then as far as most of us, we're all like, hey, you know. Plus he uses reference, but you know, most of us are sitting here doing the published stuff, trying to get it all sorted and rectified. Anyways, topic for another day. Yeah, if you're talking about his stuff, yeah, I know exactly his technique. It's one of those you get bored or you're on break and you want to go start studying other people's stuff and see what they're doing. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. So that's why it's easier to rock out books and things like that. But he's got like I said, he's got a different style. So most of us start off with the whole do the pencils, do the inks, etc. I don't technically know Esteban, but I'm familiar with his work. Yeah, I'm part of Clan McDonald. I just, you know, as far as like being able to look at people's stuff and things, so I can see what's going on there between Jay. Jay's actually one of my older artistic friends from back when I first started doing shows, J5. But yeah, Esteban's more of a realism guy, much like Jay, where it's like they look off of a reference to create things. But yeah, it's easier if you can do your baseline. And it's funny too, because almost every one of us that's doing these black covers now, we're all basically learning all of those techniques ourselves and going, well, guess I gotta learn how to do that now. Like I've been looking, a friend of mine, he does airbrushing, Martin. And so I really, when we did the scarecrow the other night, it was real fun. I'm gonna slide this down here now. All right. While I have some more coffee. Hi, Terry. Well, the refills are economical, but at the same time they aren't, because it's import and export. Because you can't find them everywhere. So, like, for example, I use the blacks and the whites a lot, so I've got the refills in the black and the white. And it's more economical to do that, because then I can just put that into a container as well and spray it if I need to, or paint if I need to. But at the same time, that creates its own monster as well, where it's like, well, I run out of one of these colors and they suddenly don't have that refill available, or they only have the refill available in the jumbo size. And so with these ones, it takes about a week and a half to 2 weeks to get. Otherwise, I got to pay the premiums, you know, the overcharge, you know, for import, export, and all that jazz. If I want the rush, then, you know, suddenly those pieces are going to be like $8 a pop. Yeah, Martin Zavala. Yep, he's a good dude. Back on the camera. There we go. Yep. And it's one of those things, it's like, you know, every once in a while you'll meet somebody new or you get to know somebody, you know, through their style or whatever have you. And so that is, you know, sometimes you learn a new technique and like, what'd you do today? And I'm like, well, I tried doing this instead. I used, you know, workable fixative. You know, and instead, because I couldn't get this cover to cooperate, so I sprayed it, you know, not this one, but, you know, for example. So, there is our spoopy Mr. Venom. Apparently my live video has gone out again, which is mildly annoying. So, just wait for a second while that connects in. I'm wondering if I use certain trigger words and it was like, how dare you, you know? And so it's like blocking me out or something. But, you know, I would be very perturbed if that is the case. But, you know, first world problems. So, yeah. There's our Venom. My camera dimmed out. Da 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 da. This is one of the ones that's going to Mr. Comics Elite. And then these are the ones that I worked on for me last night. And yeah, well, you know. I think we're going to keep this one a little short. I'm going to try and do one maybe tonight. We'll see. I need to figure out when is good because I don't want to conflict with anybody else. I know Ren McKenzie, he does Wednesdays. Martin's kind of hit and miss. Depends on when he does shows too. So I need to figure out like a nice set schedule and just get into that habit. But, you know, the ADHD in me is going to be like rebelling against that all the time. So appreciate you guys tuning in, and if you're watching later, obviously, yeah, awesome. Don't forget to hit those likes. I hate saying that, but it's true. The likes and emotions, they do actually expand the exposure of this vid, especially given the glitches that we've all been having with Meta. But, yeah, I'm going to go finish the morning routine, or the day routine, and then catch you guys on the flip side. So, later. Oh, technology.